Day 23 of my Irish coast cycle saw me awaking early in the morning at my emergency overnight camp at Charlestown by morning swimmers. They were very apologetic. They thought they had woken me the previous day somewhere else, but in fact that was another cycle camper who's out there somewhere, and I just decided to join them and had a swim myself. A very good way of waking up. Now, this was a tough day at the start. I'd got completely soaked the previous night. I'd nothing to eat except cheese and pancakes, which was all that was available in the local shop, and my pannier had got flooded, and I discovered that had blown up my power bank, which I used to charge up my phone, and my phone is essential to navigation. So there was a certain part of me almost gave in, but I decided, as I have done previously on these sort of rough mornings, I was saying, well, look, I'll set off, and maybe in 5 or 10 kilometres I'll decide to give up, but maybe I won't, and then I'll have done 5 or 10 kilometres. I find that's quite a good mental trick if you're finding things a bit overbearing, because 10 kilometres of cycling will often sort you out. So that's what I did, some nice, pleasant, quiet roads, and by the time I got to Adara and had a really decent breakfast and the people behind the counter charged my phone for me, I was all ready to keep on going. I haven't explicitly mentioned it, but the last 2 days, and indeed the next day and a half, I'm pretty much following the Eurovelo 1 route. So that's the European long distance cycling route that starts down in southern Portugal and then runs up along the Atlantic coast to reach over to Ireland. I will be leaving it in about a day and a half because it heads for Derry City, whereas I use the ferry at Greencastle to cross over into the north. The vast majority of the route in this region is these sort of quiet back roads. There is a couple of short sections on the national main road, but in fact even one of those has a cycle lane that runs just along onto the road. So Eurovelo 1 in this region is actually pretty decent. The area we're heading into is also part of the Donegal Gaeltacht, so often you'll see the Irish names of places listed most prominently. If you're looking at your map, you may notice that it would be a lot shorter to cut across Crohy Head, but this is me cycling down it, and really I think after you watch this you're going to do the same, because it's very spectacular. It's mostly these very narrow single track roads. We don't call them single track in Ireland, but it's the same basic idea. There's no room for overtaking here. Through an agricultural landscape down the side of the bays and then onto the headland itself, and the headland itself is spectacular. One of my ongoing challenges when bikepacking is trying to avoid becoming destination focused, particularly on days like today when I'm doing about 95 kilometers. It's very easy to start thinking of taking shortcuts and skipping out on some of the more scenic aspects, but that would be a huge mistake. It's really worth your while trying to take things slowly and actually take in everything that the countryside has to offer. Of course, the other reason, apart from the extra kilometres that you might avoid this sort of diversion, is that you might well fear the hills, and that's not altogether unreasonable. It's a bit of a struggle around here, and in strong winds it would be even tougher. I thought I'd leave this bit in so you could enjoy my heavy breathing. So here I'm about to leave the little car park that sits on top of Crohy Head. I was going to say you could probably go camp on it overnight if you had to, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'd say that is fierce exposed if the weather is anyway fierce at all. And I would say given the location it very often is. Anyway, this is another great descent. Very rough roads for part of it. They were working on it, so by the time you get there it may have been resurfaced and you'd have a better road. But I'm heading down from here around the coast to Dunglow, and that's where I'm hoping I'll be able to pick up a replacement power pack, so I'll be able to confidently navigate without the fear of my phone going dead. I'll throw in a link to my navigation guide video here, But yes, one of the problems of this, because I hadn't cycled this route at all before, I hadn't driven it, I'd never been up here, is that if you're relying on your phone for mapping and your phone dies, you're going to be pretty stuck. I mean, you're going to be guessing as to which way to go, asking locals when you see them, and hoping you just don't get totally lost, which would seem entirely possible. Anyway, Dunglow paid off. I not only got a replacement power bank with about 80% of charge in it, I also had a couple of pints in a pub, got a chance to charge the bike batteries and to charge my phone battery fully. So I was all ready. Here near Gweedore we see Errigal in the distance, and then it was on to Port Arthur. Port Arthur's a quiet beach a little bit north of Doonbeg, where I had stopped for a supermarket shop and then some chili cheese chips. I was doing well for food this evening. If you head down there past the GAA club, you'll come to this lovely little bay and a small harbour at the waterfront. I popped in for a swim. It would be a shame to miss it. Third swim of the trip, by the way. There is a real joy in the sunset swims after a hard day's cycling. My only regret are the times that I failed to do it. Then it was setting up the tent and enjoying yet another magnificent sunset with another one of those collapsible cups of wine I so love. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do give me a thumbs up if you have. It helps spread it out there. And do follow the channel as we head, I think, to about the 109th video on it.